Hi, everybody. It is Monday, which means it's time for another Facebook Live. I missed last week because I was traveling. I had a super great week. I spent the first part of the week in Boulder, Colorado, which was amazing, and the second part of the week in Dallas. So I had a lot of interesting observations and a lot of learning that came to me last week. And that might be part of why I'm feeling a little reflective today about some things that are maybe different than before. One thing that has been on my mind, I'm going to talk a little bit about Jerry Maguire in a second, but I am really confused by ideas people put on Facebook or Twitter or other places when they say they'll put a video or they'll put some sort of comment out there, and then they'll say, can you even believe this? And I never really know which way they intend me to believe or not. I mean, I wonder, are they agreeing with it and they want me to agree with it? Or are they thinking this is just ridiculous and they want me to not agree with it? So I get really confused when I look at what people put out there to get a rise out of people. And I wonder if that happens for other people. I watched one this morning. I watched a video on Twitter, really short video, and I'm not even going to tell you the context around it because I would probably get into a fight with people. I have no position. I'm taking no stand on any of this, but I heard what I thought was a really great dialogue and an interview on this Twitter video, and there was one comment that really hit me, and the comment was, I have no desire to be the loudest voice in the room. I simply want to be the most effective. And I thought, whoa, I love that. Especially in this world we're in right now where the loudest voice is the one that's trying to win in an argument or win in a persuasive way. And I really related to that. And I thought, that's so true for me too. I have no desire to be the loudest voice in the room. I simply want to be the most effective. I understand that the voice of the ego speaks first and the voice of the ego speaks loudest. And unless we're willing or able to listen for that still small voice later, we're always going to be at the beck and call of our ego, which is not the highest part of us. And so anyway, with that context, I went back and then I read the comments, and that is really dumb. Don't read the comments if you see something you like. Because wow, everybody this original person who had posted it had a position on it. And then everybody else was agreeing and saying, can you even believe they said this? This is so bad. This is so wrong and stupid. And I went, whoa, what did I miss? What did I miss? And I wonder if we come in with a context already, are we ever open to hearing anything objectively? And I believe that's what's happening in the world. And I have fallen into that trap myself. Yet when I don't come in with a position, I see things way differently than if I would. So thanks for those hearts and likes on that, everybody. Today I want to talk about something that is not new at all. In fact, I think this movie, Jerry Maguire, was in the 90s sometime. Jerry Maguire was a Tom Cruise movie, and it was really, if you remember nothing from this movie, you probably remember Cuba Gooding Jr. saying, show me the money, actually saying that, and then Jerry Maguire saying that, show me the money, show me the money, show me the money. And that's what people remember a lot about that movie. And they also remember when Renee Zellweger's character, who fell in love with Tom Cruise's character, said, you complete me. Do you remember those parts of that movie? Well, that's not what I wanted to talk about today. In the movie, Tom Cruise is a sports attorney, and he is caught up in this world of corporate stuff. And he has this awakening, and he writes this manifesto one night in the middle of the night, and he just types and types and types and types and types. And you never really find out in the movie what he's actually typing, but you know that after, in the middle of the night, he turns this manifesto, I'm going to call it, he calls it the things we think and do not say. He turns it into his boss, and then he's fired. And he starts his own business, and Renee Zellweger follows him, and they get completed, and they have a happy ever after life. But that's not the point. I want to talk about this manifesto. So this thing that Tom Cruise typed in the movie, called The Things We Think and Do Not Say. Did you know that they actually did come up with a 25-page manifesto so that what Tom was actually working on had a context? And this manifesto is amazing, I just must say. And it's probably what a lot of us have felt or maybe currently feel when we feel frustrated and trapped in a corporate environment. And I'm going to say corporate environment, meaning something that as a corporation does may not have heart and soul and spirit at its core. Corporations are simply the box that houses the stuff of people, I think. Now, some organizations do this really well, and some don't. In some cases, the corporation is the structure, the bones, the body, and not the heart and soul and spirit and culture. And in some cases, they do it really well. So if, let's just say, I felt that there was something missing in my corporate structure, would I be willing to say what I need to say in that corporate structure, or would I be in fear of getting in trouble? And I'm just curious about how the cultures of many corporations exist in the world. Are they cultures that allow those conversations, those questions to be asked, or not? And so in that spirit, in that context, I looked up this I'm going to call it a manifesto, but this Things We Think and Do Not Say. And I printed it out, and it was 7 pages, 14 pages, 7 pages, two-sided on my printer, the way I printed it. If you haven't ever done that and don't have any idea what I'm talking about, go look for that. It's a PDF you can download, and it's The Things We Think and Do Not Say. And maybe you want to go back and re-watch the movie, because there's a lot of really cool things in that movie. But when Tom Cruise is kind of going through his life and he's re-examining his career and the career he chose, actually the career sort of chose him. He didn't exactly choose this. He says he was hired in 1981. Back then the movie was probably in the 90s, so he'd maybe been working there for 10 years or so. He's 35, I think, in the movie. I was fresh out of college, didn't even watch much sports, but a young man came to me who wanted me to look at a contract he'd acquired to play football for the Atlanta Falcons, and one thing led to another, and he became a sports attorney. And he said he was so excited at the time because he said, "You and I are blessed. We do something that we love." And how many of us can say that about the place we work? We get to do something we love. I've said this before, but you see this poster right up here that I'm pointing to? If you're just listening to this, you can't see the video, but there's a poster right here. It says, "Do what you love in the service of people who love what you do." And this is one of my mentors, friends, Steve Farber, who is building his career on that belief, that it is possible to do what you love in the service of people who love what you do. In fact, his new book is, I'll grab it, Love is Just Damn Good Business. You see it right here. Do what you love in the service of people who love what you do. So it is possible. So Tom Cruise is talking about this. He said, as he's writing this, it's the middle of the night, so you can see in the document, you can see how he gets deeper and deeper as the night goes on. I'm just imagining that this is more than a movie script, and that this is actually somebody because somebody had to write this. So he said, in this document, we are losing our battle with all that is personal and real about our business. And I would say not even just their business. I think that happens in business. He says, every day I can look at a list of phone calls only partially returned. Driving home, I think of what was not accomplished instead of what was accomplished. The gnawing feeling continues, that families are sitting waiting for a call from us, waiting to hear the word on a contract or a general manager's thoughts on an upcoming season. Remember, it's a sports business he's in. We are pushing numbers around, doing our best, but is there any real satisfaction in success without pride? Is there any real satisfaction in a success that exists only when we push the messiness of real human contact from our lives and minds? When we learn not to care enough about the very guy we promised the world to just to get him to sign? This almost makes me teary. Because we do that. We do that. We forget about the people we're representing in our transactional world. And we forget it's not numbers. These are people. These are people's lives. And when we get into that space that we forget, there are people, coworkers, there are people who depend on us as leaders to build that culture that can allow them to bring their whole selves to work. He says, chances are I didn't say much. He said he didn't say much when he had these ideas coming to him. I might have told you it's easy or you're not working hard enough when younger people would come to him and ask him how he does it. Chances are I said something that you expected, maybe even wanted to hear, but it wasn't the truth, and it wasn't what I felt. And if you ever wondered about the drawbacks of being quiet about important things, talk to yourself in the mirror sometime. Say the truth. Yell the truth to yourself when no one is listening. See how good it feels? What are we not saying inside our corporations? Do you suppose there are other people who are just waiting for us to say something? Not in a bad way. We don't have to make people feel defensive, but we can ask these questions. What's missing that if it were there could make a positive difference inside our corporate structures? He says, as he's having this awareness in this document, he says, his dad, who worked for the United Way in San Diego, his dad would say, every time you allow a problem in your life, you're actually at a point of transformation. Crisis is a powerful point of transformation. Crisis is a powerful point of transformation. So we fight it. We fight those scary and uncomfortable places instead of saying this could be a point of transformation. And Tom's character says, we are now at a point of transformation with this company. And he's recognizing it inside his sports agency. And so there's a lot more. And there are 14 pages to this, right? But he says in his business, the secret to the success in his job is personal relationships. I was reminded about a previous job that I had where my boss told me, Jody, business has nothing to do with relationships. And that's when I knew I had to get out, because how can it not be? How can it not be? Jerry Maguire, Tom Cruise's character, is asking, how can we do something surprising and memorable with our lives? How can we turn this job in small but important ways into a better representation of ourselves? He says, maybe most of us would easily say that we are our jobs. That's obvious from the late hours we all keep. So then, it is bigger than work, isn't it? It's about us. How do we wish to define our lives? So that when we are 60 or 70 or 80 and we're sinking down onto that cool floor of O'Hare Airport, which refers to something he said earlier, perhaps we too can know that we led a happy life. What do you stand for? What's important to you? What do you want your legacy to be? Are you forgetting that small glimmer of passion that had you apply for your job in the first place? Have we forgotten why we do what we do? Let's see, what else can I tell you? The answer, according to Jerry Maguire in this manifesto, is fewer clients, which is odd, right? We think we need more clients. We need more. He says the answer is fewer clients, less dancing, tap dancing, more truth. We must crack open the tightly clenched fist of commerce and give a little back for the greater good. Eventually, revenues will be the same, and that goodness will be infectious. We will have taken our number oneness and turned it into something greater. And eventually, smaller will become bigger in every way, and especially in our hearts. Smaller can become bigger. Good doesn't have to be the enemy of great. He says when he's writing this, he doesn't know if he's even going to give this to anybody, because, you know, you get kind of in the role or in the flow of it, and you type, and it's the middle of the night, and you've had a lot of coffee, and he didn't even know if he was going to give this. He says, I am not a writer, but I can't stop from writing this. It's something pure from the deepest part of me. It has to be right, and as one of the senior agents at this company, I ask to be heard. And if I am wrong, then grab me by the collar and tell me why you disagree. And I will happily talk with you because we are talking about something that matters. That might be the most important line in this whole thing. Tell me you disagree with me. Don't just talk about me behind my back. If I'm saying something about something that matters and we disagree, then at least we're talking about something that matters. I really appreciated this part. He wrote at 3:13 a.m. I have the distinct feeling that what I have written is touchy-feely. I don't care. I have lost the ability to bullshit. And at some point, isn't that how it occurs in our lives, in our cultures that feel restrictive and tight and fear-based? He says, I feel so good about not erasing this mission statement. There is so little that we are able to create in this business, and I would say probably in a lot of businesses. Most of the time, we are creating nothing. We are shoving digits around. But to address the growing pains of our business and to create a new way of looking at what we do, because these growing pains could easily be dying pains. Wow. But we are meant to live at this company. Our work actually does have an effect on people. In a cynical world, we make people happy. We let them know that in his case, one athlete can make a difference. One person can make a difference. He says, let's see, where can I step in here? This is interesting. He said, how many rich people have said this in our presence? I thought I would feel better when I was rich, but I don't. That happens when we don't listen to the loud sound of the quiet voice inside. Life is the duty of confronting all of that within ourselves. And if we're not doing that because we're trying to be busy and keep busy and make sure we don't slow down enough to hear what the voice of our higher self is trying to tell us in the rush of what we're up to, we're missing out. What are we dancing for? What are we tap dancing for? The small voice inside is always the voice of what is right. And how much sound and fury exists in our life determines how easy it is to listen. Still small voice, voice of spirit. The louder voice is a voice of ego and fear. What are we listening to? What are we trying to drown out? He says, I'm wondering what that exact moment is when we truly, truly love our jobs. Is it during the day or at the end of the day? Or is it years later looking back on all we accomplished? I think perhaps truly loving something is the ability to love it at that moment. Do we love what we're doing at that moment? Do we even allow ourselves to feel when we're at the place we work? Being able to enjoy enjoyment while it is happening. What about that? Thanks for the hearts, you guys. Thanks for being here and allowing me to kind of share this. This is really important to me. I'm finding as I'm saying this to you and I'm speaking this here, I didn't realize how much this touches me and how much I feel that this is what I need to be doing. I need to be doing this more, bringing the heart, the soul, the spirit to corporate America. For some reason, I just feel really drawn to teams within organizations, and this really touched me today. I don't know why I thought of this. This is something, what was it? It's a little thought somewhere that said, go look this up. There's no accident here. He says, let us celebrate the clients that have meant more to us because of this small adjustment that we're making. Let us work less hard to sign the clients that we know won't matter in the long run and work twice as hard to keep the ones who will. Oh, hear that again. Let us work less hard to sign the clients that we know won't matter in the long run and work twice as hard to keep the ones who will. He said, I am dictating not what I want us to be, but what I wish us to be. There is a difference. You can only get there If I have written this correctly and if you are inspired, I am reaching out to you personally. I choose to be passionate again. I choose to reclaim everything that was once exciting about this job. I wonder if this might just be the best idea I've ever had. I hope you understand. In the words of Martin Luther King, a life is not worth living until you have something to die for. A life is not worth living if you are sleepwalking through it, because that is what feels like death. That is what causes athletes to, and I would say not just athletes, he says, out of despair get drunk and wrap their cars around a pole or lash out at someone they love. It's the feeling of sleepwalking, of others living life around you, keeping their fists tightly wound around whatever dollars they can muster, caring little more than nothing about those around you. He says, we cannot sleepwalk. We cannot just survive. We can take control of our lives. We can quit sleepwalking. We can say, right now, these are our lives. It is time to start living them. And at the very end of the whole mission statement manifesto, he says, let us start a revolution. Let us start a revolution that is not just about basketball shoes or official licensed merchandise or whatever your product or service is. I am prepared to die for something. I am prepared to live for our cause. The cause is caring about each other, and the secret to this job, and I will say to any job, is personal relationships. Thank you, you guys, for being touched by that too. What is it that we can do together? What is it that what are the conversations that we could have around this so that together we can actually make a difference inside our organizations? And I don't care if the organization is small with 2 people, 10 people, or it's huge with thousands and thousands of people. Every one of us can make a difference. Every one of us. And we can have those conversations that are hard to have, but that ask a question that begs a response. And not talk about people behind their backs and not be Minnesota, North Dakota nice about this anymore. Minnesota, North Dakota nice hides from conflict. We run from conflict. Conflict is what makes our lives worth living. And if we're not willing to address those difficult conversations in a loving way, then we're no better than everybody else who's doing the same thing. If you're listening to this right now, this is for you and for me. I am using you to speak these truths for myself, and I appreciate more than you know how much you're allowing me the space to speak into. And I love that there are hearts and likes coming through, even if you're not saying anything. And if you are leaving comments, for some reason, my computer is not showing them to me right now. So, oh, here they are. Okay. Whitney, I want to be the most effective too. Thank you, Whitney. Yay. And Stacy, need to rewatch this movie. I know, right? We should all rewatch this movie. So you guys, I don't really know the answer to this. I don't know the what of it, but I just know the why of it. And the why of it for me is because I don't want to be nothing against where my mom is, but my mom is in a nursing home right now suffering from dementia. And I do not want to be where she is, knowing that I didn't do everything I possibly could to infuse heart and soul and spirit inside corporate America. And I don't know how I'm going to do that. I don't know. I just know I have to do it. And so I have to share my ideas. I just wrote my new book. This is so self-serving right this minute. This new book was written for that reason, helping leaders build a strong, engaged, and connected culture. And I know it's a great book. I know there are great ideas in it. And I would love your help in doing that, doing something inside the company you work, or the people you know, or your neighborhood, or your church, or your government, or somewhere. Just have conversations about things that matter. Go rewatch Jerry Maguire, download The Things We Think and Do Not Say, and start saying them. Start saying them. This is so important. Nothing is more important than this, in my opinion. So thank you for being with me today, and thank you for being who you're being in the world, because we are together in this. And I'm so grateful for all of you. So thank you. I talked a lot today. Holy moly. And I'll be back next week, and I'll look forward to another conversation with you. So as always, go be awesome. See you next week.